drink of the wine of the wrath of YaHUaH Elohim. It tells us what this wrath is that is undiluted and is going to be poured out. It's right here. They shall be tortured with fire and sulfur before the set-apart messengers. Yours may say the HOLY angels before the Lamb, and we know who the Lamb is. That's the Messiah. And it talks about what's going to happen to those of you who have been worshiping this image. And the smoke of their torture goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, those worshiping Jesus, the beast, and his image, the cross. Also, if anyone receives the mark of his name. Why also, if anyone receives? Because this hasn't happened yet. This is for a specific generation that is going to receive the mark of the beast physically on their right hand or on their forehead, and you cannot buy, sell unless you have this mark. And this is why we know that we're getting ready to see what has been written since the times of memorial. The digital ID is here. This AI technology, you know what? I guess I could put it this way. I'm at the point where I'm going to revisit the movie Terminator. Why? Because in that movie, and again, we know that life imitates art, art imitates life. And we know that these Jewish people who run Hollywood speak their agenda through movies. Not all movies, but certain movies, especially the big box office movies. Terminator was one of them. Just like Enemy of the State with Will Smith was another one that they spoke a lot of truth in there. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. But what I'm getting at is, just like in the movie Terminator, remember how they had Skynet? You remember that? For those of you who've seen the movie? Where you can't go anywhere without these drones in the sky knowing where you're at? Yep, Queen, Matrix is another one. And it's created by these Jewish people. But again, their agenda is being spewed all over the silver screen. And most of us are just being entertained. Oh, wow. That was a great movie. Do you not understand that the movie is about to become a reality in your world? And so here it is. Elon Musk, he has a version of the Skynet. He sure does. Putting it all over the earth right now. He's putting it all over the earth right now. The only next thing that needs to be done is to start marking everybody. They want to control the natural resources, how much you can and cannot have, what you can and cannot do, where you're at all times. This is the all-seeing eye on the back of the dollar bill. Once again, the great seal of the United States of America. This is where Satan's seat is, as it says in the book of Revelation. We dwell where Satan's seat is. You don't think that Satan is dwelling here in the United States of America and this is the sole superpower of the earth? There's never been a government or an empire like the United States of America. Stuff is not by accident. This is not so coincidental. It's happening. And if you don't think the lake of fire is real, some of you are going to find out. And if you think you're going to be extinguished once you are thrown into that place, and that you're just going to go into the oblivion as if you never existed, some of you are going to find out. Because again, notice what it says here. And they have no rest. No rest. That's the opposite of those of us who will find rest for our weary souls. These people ain't going to have no rest. And it says day or night, meaning that it's going to go on forever. That's why it says this earlier, in the smoke of their torture, their torment goes up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night. So that's doubling down. Not only are you going to be tortured forever, but you have no rest day or night forever. Why do you want to find that out? Because you love your blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, and you love your doctrine of Christianity, and you love all the holidays that go along with Christianity that was given to you by the Catholics. A friend of mine just yesterday, was it the day before yesterday? Love my brother, love him. Not my physical brother, but a brother that I've known for a long time. And he was like, "Happy Thanksgiving." I'm like, "I don't celebrate that. You remember I don't." He goes, "I know, but you still like to be around family." "Oh, I love being around family, but I'm not celebrating it with family." I said, "Are you Catholic?" He goes, "No, I don't do these Catholic things." I'm like, "Okay." I just kept my mouth shut because he doesn't realize that Thanksgiving was given to you by the Catholics. Just like Christmas, just like Easter, just like every single thing that they put on your TV and say, "Oh, Walmart's having a special for Halloween. Walmart is having a special for Mother's Day. Walmart is having a special for Father's Day. Walmart is having a special for Memorial Day and for Labor Day and 4th of July." All of that was given to you by the Catholics, who in turn actually got it from these Jewish people, because they are the merchants of the earth. They control everything. The same people who supposedly was in this gas chamber, and there were 6 million of them that got cooked in this thing in World War II, in 1945. How's it that they're running the world? How did these people who supposedly almost went into extermination mode, where they were almost extinct, run everything? How is that possible? Because they were running it before World War II. They've been running it since the days of old. They've been running the United States before it was called the United States. They came here and created this country, and that's why there was 13 colonies. You think that number 13 was an accident? They could have made it 12 colonies, but nope, they made it 13. They could have made it 14 colonies, but nope, they made it 13. Friday the 13th. There's no 13th level on any building when you're going up the escalator or you're going up in the elevator. Why is that? And they call it the unlucky number. It's unlucky for those of us who are not part of the 13th club, of the 13th tribe. There's no such thing as a 13th tribe, but they made it one because they know, the ones who are running it, they know they're not the Jews, and they call themselves the 13th tribe. They call themselves the Ashkenazi Jews. They call themselves the Sephardic Jews. That's a great question, Stefan. So let's go back a little bit. The number 13. Where did this whole thing about the Friday the 13th come from? If you go back and you look into the annals of history, and I'm just going to summarize this. There was a man who created a secret society. He was living in Bavaria, what we know today as Germany. He created what we know today as the Illuminati. Adam YaHUaH is his name. Well, the Illuminati, before they were called the Illuminati, they were the Knights of Templar, or the Knight Templars. Okay. They found something in Jerusalem when they was in Jerusalem. They were supposed to be guarding the pilgrims, as so we're told, as the story goes, of those who wanted to make a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. And so the Pope at that time, and I can't remember his name right now, I used to remember this whole story like the back of my hand, but he had hired these knights, 9 of them. They were like supposed to be like some bad knights. Like, these guys were like assassins. You didn't want to mess with them. Okay. They knew how to use the sword. Anyhow, they get to Jerusalem. They found something in the catacombs, in the caves underneath the so-called Temple Mount. They snuck out. supposedly with these caskets of what we're told is a whole bunch of gold things, which a lot of people put two and two together and believe that a lot of this gold was what was in the first and second temple. Okay, and they took it and they left. Having that gold and the amount of weight of that gold, they started a bartering system to where people who wanted to build stuff or they didn't have enough money, the knights would lend it to them. And they would give them this promissory note. Because, gold is heavy, so is silver. And if you needed to purchase anything or you needed to build something, you're taking, bags and bags, not to mention that you could get robbed on the way to try to, pay your debt to these knights. The knights was like, we're going to make it easy. Here's a promissory note. You owe me this amount. You're promising to pay me back this amount of money. I'm gonna front you the gold so you can go and take care of your project, but you are going to pay me back with interest. This is what we know today as the banking system. The modern banking system with promissory notes was created by these Knight Templars. Now, a lot of the monarchs were also indebted to these knights, specifically the King of France. So this King of France was indebted to the knights something terribly. So he was like, man, if I don't get rid of these people, how am I going to get rid of this debt? He's like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of the knights. I'm going to get rid of them. I'm just going to get rid of my whole problem. I'm going to destroy those people that I owe this debt to. So he had this agenda that he told all of his knights to round up these people, these other knights, the Knight Templars, who became what we know as the Illuminati. And he sent out this command to everywhere in his kingdom. And it was sealed by his ring. It couldn't be opened except to the generals that were supposed to open it. And they were to break open that seal and they were to read it on the same day. And so this command went out to all the 4 areas of his area. And when you open it up, it says there that they were to round up all those who were of the Knight Templars, also known as the Illuminati. Well, that happened on October the 7th. Happened to be a Friday, October the 13th. And it happened to be on a Friday. 1307, I think was the year, or was it 1305? We can look it up. But it was on October, it was the 13th, and it was on a Friday. That day became synonymous for these knights, who also became the Illuminatists, an unlucky day. Because it was the day that they were to be rounded up and that they were to be assassinated. They were to be destroyed. Well, Adam YaHUaH stuck behind. Since they were looking for him, the other knights escaped with all this gold and supposedly went up to Ireland. Okay? And this is where you get all this stuff like the movie Da Vinci Code with Tom Hanks and all this stuff. They're trying to spin this history by making it into a Hollywood production. If you ever watched the movie Da Vinci Code, a lot of this information that I'm telling you, they talk about it in this movie. So these people, the knights, who tried to take control of Europe by having all the monarchs, those that are kings and queens, subjugated to them because of debt. They wanted to create a new world order in Europe, and they couldn't. This King of France destroyed their agenda of what they wanted to do with having everybody owing them money. Okay. So when they left to Ireland, Belfast to be exact, they find out about this place called the New World in 1492 with so-called Christopher Columbus. Remember, this happened in 1307. We're talking about over 100 years later. They find this new world. Well, guess what? There's people already in the new world. We know who the people are that are already in the new world because they left the Levant or the Promised Land area which were the 10 tribes, the northern tribes of Israel, who were taken by the Assyrians. Some of them fled and they went to this area where no man has ever tread before, which happens to be the Americas. Well, here it is now. When they found out that this new land appeared, or not appeared, but was found, guess what these people did? The ones who were in Ireland. They also came here on ships to the Americas, and they set up what you know as the 13 colonies because of that number. It's been associated with them ever since then. So they took the number 13, which happened on that day, October 13th, on their Gregorian calendar, and instead of it being a bad day, they used that as a way of to say, we're going to conquer the day that almost took us out. We're going to own it. We're owning that number 13. And so now, this is why they've been running this world ever since. These are the same people who are calling themselves Jews and are not. They're Germanic. The barbarians are German people. These people were German. They are the Ashkenaz that come from Gomer. Gomer is from Japheth. Japheth is from Noah. YaHUaH, you say England, not Ireland. Well, they were also in England as well. But again, the Roslin Chapel that they were supposedly where they went to is in Ireland. But anyhow, so that's where the number 13 comes from. But again, all this to be said, we are getting ready to see the Great Tribulation because of this bloodline of people who are the seed of Satan, who want to run the world. And it's been given to them. It's been given to them by Satan. This is why Revelation chapter 2, verse 9 and 3:9 says that they are the followers of the congregation synagogue of Satan. Because Satan, just like he said to our Messiah, he says, if you bow down and worship me, I'll give you all the kingdoms of this world. Because it has been given to me, I can give it to whomever I choose. And it was given to Satan by Adam in the garden, because Adam was supposed to be the ruler of this earth. And he gave it over because he listened to his wife. Now, this isn't YaHUaH's fault, because it's just as fault of Adam as it was YaHUaH. Both of them disregarded the commandment of YaHUaH in the garden. That is disobedience. And as you and I both know, those of us who know the truth, YaHUaH is all about obedience. Thank you, Fanny. You looked it up. Beautiful. October 13th, 1307. Yes, exactly. To the top for that. So again, this place called the Lake of Fire is a physical, real place that for those who have followed the lie called Christianity are going there. Now, you guys may say, wow, well, what's the big deal? Why does YaHUaH hate Christianity so much? I'm going to tell you what it is that he hates. What he hates is his children being disobedient. It's that simple. Either you're going to do what he says to do, regardless of what is in front of you, or you're not. This is what takes us all the way back to the garden again. Someone would say, well, what was in the tree? What was in the fruit that Adam and YaHUaH ate that brought about this death and destruction? It had nothing to do with the tree. It had nothing to do with the fruit. It had to do with us listening to what the Creator said. It was a test. That tree was planted there as a test. Nothing more, nothing less. Either you do it or you don't do it. Either you don't eat from that tree of life, that tree of righteousness and evil, or you do. If you eat from it, death comes to you. If you don't eat from it, life comes to you. One is obedience, the other one's disobedience. It's that simple. That's all it was. It's like having a dog, and I'm not calling ourselves dogs, but I have, as some of you know, I have 2 dogs. Many dogs in my life. Trained a whole lot of dogs. What makes a pet owner a righteous pet owner is one that has his animal under obedience. There's nothing worse than a man having a killer dog and he doesn't know how to get that dog to obey him. That's a dangerous dog. And that dog can cause a lot of harm and death. It's the same thing with us. If we're not under control, we will unalive one another. Hate begins to build in the heart. It's our natural byproduct of sin. So the only way that you can get back on that right path is you got to subjugate yourself to his commandments. You got to bring yourself underneath that agreement. So YaHUaH sees that you want to be right. He knows you're not going to be able to because of your sin nature, but he wants to see that you have the ability, because he knows you do. He knows you have it in you, but you have to want it. You have to want life more than itself. You have to want to be a part of YaHUaH's kingdom and not be a part of Satan's kingdom, because Satan and YaHUaH are allowing Satan to do this, because he's always done this throughout history. Go back and read your Old Testament. YaHUaH has always used the enemy of his people to correct his people, to test his people, to even discipline his people. He's used their enemy. He's doing the same thing with Satan. YaHUaH has used Satan to test us, to discipline us, and for the lack of better, for those of us who don't want to obey and who want to continue to be hard-headed, to destroy us. It's pretty simple. The gray rooms. As I kind of start to come down a little bit on what I was talking about. You say you love the Messiah. Of course, we don't use that word Christ, but you say you love him. Do you keep the commandments, or do you believe that the commandments have been done away with and it's just grace alone and only by grace? Interesting. I'm over here reading some of the comments, and it fascinates me. I don't know how long all of you been in here, hearing what I was sharing. But again, let me just say this. If you claim to be a Christian, you identify yourself as being a Christian, and you don't see anything wrong with Christianity, you have been deceived. What you need to do, and I hope that you have the zeal and the desire to want to know the truth, that you would question what it is that you are identifying with. I know it's hard, gray rooms. I know it's hard. I used to be there. I used to preach and teach Christianity constantly. I was in love with the doctrine of Christianity, okay? But let me say this for all of you who are out there. The Messiah, if you say you truly love him and you look back at his life, and when he tells you to deny yourself, to pick up your stake and follow him, you need to ask yourself the question, are you truly following the Messiah? Are you doing what the Messiah gave us an example of? Are you keeping the Sabbath? Are you keeping the feast days? Are you keeping the dietary laws? Many of us, when I was in Christianity, I shunned away from these things because, again, I was just like many of you, taught that the law was done away with. And so, gray rooms, you make my point exactly. Even when I physically keep the commandments, I find myself mentally breaking them with thoughts. And that's exactly where sin begins, in the mind. Just like the Messiah says, right? This is why we need a Savior. Those thoughts are always going to come because we've been exposed to things. We have experienced and exposed ourselves to things that YaHUaH says, don't do that. Don't go and open up that door, because once you do, you can't unsee what you just saw. You can't stop what you just seen and what you have experienced. And this is why it's so difficult for people who have experimented with drugs, pharmaceuticals, okay, street pharmaceuticals. And not only street pharmaceuticals, even the pharmaceuticals that they give you, from your doctor, these pain meds and all this other stuff. Once your flesh gets introduced to some of these things, it's like open up a Pandora's box and you can't seem to put it back in the box. And so now you go through your life, you come to know this truth, and yet you still are battling with what you have experienced and exposed yourself to. This is the reason why the Creator says, don't do this, don't do that, because he already knows once you do that, it's going to be that much more difficult for you to remove that out of your life so that you can walk right. But there's still hope for us. Just like you said, Gray Rooms, physically, you're able to keep the commandments. But mentally, that's where the flesh wars with the spirit and the spirit wars with the flesh. These thoughts, we're supposed to bring every thought into subjection. We're supposed to bring it into captivity, right? That's what the Apostle YaHUaH says, right? We're to renew our minds, right? Be this new creation in the Messiah. But it's not that easy, is it? Because once you've experienced these things, it becomes a constant battle for the rest of your physical existence. But here's the difference. Those who just succumb to it, who just gives themselves over to those things, the titillating of the senses, and those who say, I'm not going to do it. Even though you have those thoughts, you might even mess up. You might physically do it. You may relapse. But just like we read in the scriptures, in Proverbs, the righteous one falls 7 times, but am perfect. You did that fall so perfectly that you should get a reward for it. But YaHUaH says, don't stop there. Get back up. Get back up. Dust off your knees. Stand back up erect. And get back on that straight and narrow path and don't give up. Satan's going to continue to throw those darts at you. He's going to continue to shoot those arrows at you. But you live by faith. You live by amunah. You see, Satan wants you to feel defeated. He wants you to feel that, you know what, you made a mistake again. You did it again. You gave into it again. You heeded and you listened to your flesh again. Go ahead. Just, you can't do it. You can't walk out this commandments. Go ahead. Just give yourself over to what you got going on in your life. That's what he wants us to feel. He wants you to be defeated. And so you continue to live in the past, and you don't want to live in the future. You don't want to live in the present moment when you can change your thoughts immediately. I don't care if you just messed up a second ago. All it takes is for you to think properly and say, okay, let's get it together, Jimmy. You know, you got to talk to yourself. I do it. Let's get it together, Jimmy. Let's get back on the straight and narrow. I'm not going to allow Satan to win. I'm going to overcome Satan. And I can only do it with the strength of the Spirit that is dwelling in me. Because I know what his word says. And I am not going to succumb to what the stuff that I've experienced in my life and exposed myself in my life. I'm not going to allow that to win. I just can't do it. Some of us have not wrestled enough with our sin nature. We got to fight to the end. This is why he says to endure to the end. Endure. He's letting you know this walk ain't going to be easy. He's letting you know because of especially in this time that we're living in, unlike any other time in human history, we're so exposed to so much evil and wickedness and sin at our fingertips. Right now, most of you are looking at me through your phone. That gadget right there is going to be the demise of most of the world today. Because through that gadget, you can find whatever it is that titillates your being. Whatever it is. If you're running after money, you're going to find it. If you're looking after corn, you know what I'm talking about, corn, you're going to find it. Right? You like to see animals destroying each other, you're going to find it. Whatever it is, you're going to find it. So how much more of an open door, of a welcome that you're going to receive, that you passed the test, that you was able to put that thing down, because the day is coming. Don't get it twisted. The day is coming. The great temptation, the great testing, the great trouble, the great distress is coming. And you're going to have to make a choice. Either you're going to continue to have all that this world can give you, or you're going to deny your flesh and say, I don't want it. I'm done with it. Even if it costs me my life. Even if it means my head is coming off. Even if it means my head is coming off of my body. Yes, eloquent. I am not talking about food corn. It's what rhymes with corn that I'm talking about, especially for you men. You know what I'm talking about. The cornet. Okay. Think about it. Where you can see things and live vicariously through other people through your phone. This is the stuff that is so wicked. This is the stuff that is so wicked. Let's read this passage here. 1 Corinthians. Let's see here. I think it's in chapter 6. Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Notice what it says here. Verse 15. Do you not know that your bodies, your physical bodies, are members of the Messiah? Shall I then take the members of the Messiah and make them members of a harlot, a whore, a prostitute? Let it not be. Or do you not know that he who is joined to a whore is one body? For he says, the two shall become one flesh. And he who is joined to the master is one spirit. Flee whoring. Flee adultery. Flee fornication. Every sin, every transgression of the law that a man does or a woman does is outside of the body. But he or she who commits whoring, fornicating, sins against his own body. Or do you not know that your body is the dwelling place of the set-apart Spirit who is in you, which you have from YaHUaH Elohim, the mighty of mighty ones, and you are not your own? For you were bought with a price, that is with his blood, were bought with a price, that is with his blood, with his very life. Life is in the blood. Therefore, esteem, exalt, rumamu, the mighty one, in your body and in your spirit, which are from YaHUaH Elohim, or is of YaHUaH Elohim, the mighty of mighty ones. So what is being told to us here? What is YaHUaH, aka Paul, talking about? YaHUaH is talking about those of us, especially men, just like Gray Rooms was saying earlier, how hard it is to not think of sin. It begins in the mind. When you do these things, men, women do it too, but specifically men, you play with your tallywhacker. You have this image of some kind of image in your brain, or you're looking at an image through your eyes that is titillating your brain. One way or the other, you have an image, and you're allowing that image to overtake you. And you're taking the body that belongs to the Messiah, whom you say that you've given yourself to him, and you're supposed to be married to him. That's the marriage vow at Mount Sinai. I belong to you and you belong to me. I'm saying that as far as Abba YaHUaH is saying that to us. And yet you're going to go play the harlot. You're going to look at this image, and to you it's real. You're doing the thing with your tallywhacker. You spread your semen, which, by the way, the demons love that. They physically, in a spiritual way, somehow enjoy that, being fed off of that. You're feeding the demons around you. And you're not knowing this. You're not realizing that you belong to the Messiah. You don't belong to yourself anymore if you truly are his person, if you're truly his bride. You would refrain from taking what is supposed to be set apart, which is your body. Your body is the temple. Think about that. Your body is the set apart temple that has the Messiah dwelling in it. You wouldn't go to that fake church that is called a Christian church and walk in there with a magazine or have your phone with it loud playing a corn video, right? You would be ashamed. You would blush. You would be embarrassed. That's if you still have embarrassment to have it. So why don't we think of our bodies in that same light? Because after all, this is the true temple. He's dwelling in these bodies that are not made by man's hand. And so if we understand and recognize that we are his body, we are the temple. If we can walk with that understanding most of the day, if not all the time throughout the day, many of the things that we think and many of the things that we do, we will not do it. Because we know there's consequences. Just like it says here. What does it say? Oh, not here. It would be in chapter 3. Let's go to chapter 3. What does it say here? Chapter 3, 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Starting at verse 16. Do you not know that you are the dwelling place, or that is the Hakal, the temple of YaHUaH Elohim, the mighty one, and that the spirit, the Ruach of YaHUaH Elohim dwells in you? If anyone destroys the dwelling place of YaHUaH Elohim shall destroy that person. For the dwelling place of YaHUaH Elohim is set apart, which you are. So if you're going to profane your body by messing with your tallywhacker, by doing things, and we're talking about just not that, but just anything that is considered transgression of the law, YaHUaH is going to destroy you, because that body doesn't belong to us. This body that I'm dwelling in now doesn't belong to me. I'm a steward of this body that has been given to me. It's up to me if I'm going to get the new one. But he is testing me right now in this mortal body to see how I'm going to take care of this body, to see if he can trust me with an eternal one. He's not going to give me an eternal body when he can't trust me with this temporary body. There's no way. No way. And many of us in Christianity think, this is what he died for. I don't have to worry about how I'm living anymore. As long as I believe and trust in him, because he knows I can't do it. He knows that I can't keep his law. So what, is that the excuse that you're going to give? That's why you did what you did and you're going to keep on doing what you're doing? But here it is Paul saying that anyone who destroys or misuses the body of YaHUaH Elohim, YaHUaH is going to destroy that person. You still think it's nonchalant that you can just do whatever you want to do in this body and there's going to be no repercussions? As it says in the word, whatever a man sows, they'll also reap. And if you're reaping to the flesh, you're going to reap death. But if you reap towards the spirit, you're going to reap life. That's what it is. I should say sow, not reap. If you sow to the flesh, you're going to reap death. If you sow to the spirit, you're going to reap life. Very simple, but we make it hard and difficult. So again, Mishpachah, again, family, are we ready for what is coming? Because we're getting ready to wake up here very soon. One of these mornings is not going to be the same day ever again. And I'm talking about it's going to be very soon. Again, remember what we was reading earlier about the budding of the fig tree. The budding of the fig tree is not these people who call themselves Jews. Regardless of what you've heard in Christian circles, regardless of how right it sounds to you, that is not the fig tree. That country called Israel is not the fig tree mentioned in Mark chapter 13. The fig tree is true Israel waking up. It's budding now. It's been budding for quite some time, but it's truly budding now. Summer is coming. And I'm not talking about the physical summer. I'm talking about the spiritual one, where people are going to be on fire for the truth. And his people are going to be speaking this truth more than what you're hearing me saying right now. Because we're not going to love our life to the death. We're going to be giving our life over. Because he who tries to save his life is going to lose it. Those who don't care about their life, they shall save it. Because we're doing it for the right reason. They want to silence us. And so the only thing that they can fear you with or scare you with is death. Don't speak about that again or we're going to unalive you. Don't you talk about that name again or we're going to do you in. Or as they've done to many people. Don't talk about us not being the true Jews. We'll shut off your bank account. We'll shut down all your credit cards and your debit card. Let's see how you live then. So they use their tactics against you because of what you know. They're like, okay, we can't shut you up by scaring you this way. Then we're going to use it where it hurts. We're going to hit you in your bank book. We're going to hit you in your pocketbook, digitally speaking. One day you're going to go to your bank and you ain't going to have access to your money. They can't do that right now because cash is still king. But cash is about to be a slave and digital currency is going to be king. We're that close. We're that close. The question is, are you going to be ready? That's the question. And if you're going to follow everybody else that is around you, because you don't want to be that so-called oddball, you don't want to be that one that everybody looks at and points the finger and say, there's the bad guy. Like it says in the movie Scarface, I'm the bad guy. You need to point the finger at the bad guy. I'm the bad guy, but we're not the bad guy. Now, I'm not talking about Scarface not being bad. Of course he was. But I'm just saying, somebody has to point the finger to somebody and say, there's the bad guy. I'm not the bad. That's the bad guy. He's the one that's going around hurting people's feelings and calling them for what they are. We got to speak the truth. We got too many cowards in this world. And the Creator is trying to build warriors. He wants warriors. Those who have been, by their exercising their faculty, they know what it means to war in the spirit. They are veterans of warfare. That's what a warrior is. We don't need soldiers. We need warriors. Soldiers are wet behind the ears. Soldiers still need to go out there and prove their ability. But a warrior, he's already proved his ability or her ability. A warrior is one who doesn't need to be trained. They're trained already. Are you a warrior? Or are you just a soldier who just came out of boot? That's what's going to matter here. If you need to get a hold of those of you who have come into this truth and you want to let us know that your eyes have been open, you can always reach me by email at ambassadorsofyah@gmail.com. Ambassadors, plural, of Yah, one word, ambassadorsofyah@gmail. Okay? We would love to hear your praise report. I'd love to share that with the rest of the people. And we hope that you will continue to come back again. Every weekend we come here. Unless I'm sick or if I have an emergency call out because of my job. Other than that, in the past 2 years that I've been doing this, I thank YaHUaH that I have not been sick. I thank YaHUaH for allowing me to be able to continue to share this message. I thank him for using me, and I thank him for all of you who've been here for such a long time, walking this walk out, that we're not doing this alone. We know how lonely this walk can be. We know that we can't just go out of our homes and find a brick and mortar building where others speak like we do and know what we do and believe as we believe and call upon and use the right names and are following the commandments and who are not doing the pagan holidays. This is why we come together on this platform. And we thank YaHUaH for allowing us to use YouTube and TikTok, because we're spread all over the earth. And we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones who are speaking this truth. I know that our words are going to be silenced. I know they're going to try to put us against one another. I know that they're going to physically be coming after us. But they can't do anything to us unless YaHUaH allows them to do it. Just remember, who is the one in charge here? YaHUaH is the one in charge. They cannot touch you unless he says they can touch you. And the only reason why he's going to allow them to touch you is because he is ready for you to come home. He's ready for you to come home. So let's make our daddy proud. Let's stand straight up, tall, shoulders back, and speak this truth to all who will hear. It's not about making a name for ourselves. The name that we need to make sure everybody knows is YaHUaH and Yahusha. That's it. Not us. We're nothing. We're nothing. He's everything. I want to thank thank all of you for coming. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you allowing me to speak and share this truth in your hearing. I hope that you would come back again, bring a family member, bring a friend, so that they too may come out of Christianity, out of Islam, out of atheism, out of any of the isms that are out there, into the truth. Because again, there's no gray area. It's either you're with him or you're against him. That's it. Let us pray. Heavenly Abba YaHUaH, Tuda Atah, thank you, YaHUaH, for allowing us to be able to use this platform to be able to be with one another on this day. Father, we pray that your words will prepare us. May we not only open up our book on the weekends, but may we read at least a verse every single day, that we may have that daily bread that only comes from you. Abba, help us to have that zeal to want to hear your voice daily. Help us, O Yah, where we are weak. Strengthen us, O Abba. Do not allow the enemy, Shaitan, to have his way with us. May he not sift us as wheat. Abba, we put all of our trust in you and you alone, because it is you who has given us life. We pray for all of our friends and our family and co-workers, O Yah, that you've allowed us to speak into their life, to plant seeds. Abba, we ask that you would send someone else to water those seeds that you've allowed us to plant, and that you may give the increase. That there will be some 30, 60, 100-fold return unto you. Do not deal with us according to our ways, for you know that our flesh is weak. You know that our minds are even weaker. Help us to guard our minds. Help us to walk in the newness of life. Help us to love one another. Help us to even love our enemies, oh, as we have been commanded to do so. Renew us. Change us, oh Abba. Teach us your ways, and do not remove your set-apart spirit from us. But always, Abba, lead us and guide us by your spirit. May our names not be blotted out of the Lamb's book of life, but that when we breathe our last breath, or that you crack that sky, that we will find ourselves in your presence forevermore, never to depart you ever again. This is our prayer and our petition on this day. In the mighty name of your Son, YaHUaH, that is, I am his salvation. It's in his name that we pray and ask these things. Hallelujah, YaHUaH. Hallelujah, YaHUaH. And hallelujah, YaHUaH. Amat. Rumamu YaHUaH. That is to exalt. I am self-existing.